Welcome back. Well, Funded Forward, the engaging social enterprise competition series, and it's presented by Channels Television. We've had season 1, and season 2 is definitely upon us at this time, and we have change agents, trying to get that 30 million naira grant. Well, joining me to discuss what to expect, we have Neil Oyenekon, the series producer. Funded Forward season 2 is right here in the studio. Great to have you.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, and I'm going to give you my own pitch right now. So we just end season 2, and you just give me that 30 million. How about that? So talk to me about season 1 and what we expect for season 2.
I think what we found out with Funded Forward was there's a new initiative, that was kicked off by Channels Television last year, but it revealed to us the pool of young enterprise that is filled, within, every spectrum of this country. We were able to attract a number of them from all geopolitical zones, and we were able to sort of put their business through a stress test, which enabled us to see which ones are more viable than the others. But what's more interesting in the process is it was more transformational for everybody who was involved. I mean, the price is the price, but really the process is what we're aiming to use to sort of re-engineer young entrepreneurs in this country to understand exactly, what the metrics of building a business is like.
And talk to me about this, the inspiration, for this.
When the time for an idea comes, it certainly grows and it comes to be. The initiative itself was pushed forward by, the CSR president of Channels Television, Zemi Momo. She came up with the initiative and just wanted it fashioned into a TV show that can be used to get into the minds of young people. So I just think it's a homegrown idea, which I think has a fitting timing in the way we're deploying it at this point in time. So through and through, it came from Channels, it's on Channels, and we hope to do great things with it.
All right, I'm sure when it comes to ideas, people come up with different businesses. Talk to me about the most bizarre one you got. Season 1.
The funny thing is, some of the greatest things are already in plain sight. It's just that we kind of overthink sometimes to try and find the right business. We kind of overthink sometimes to find the right formula for it. The gentleman that came with a packaged abacha business last year, basically won the grand prize of 30 million naira. Not because he did something totally new, but he found a new way of doing something very common. So the ideas themselves, there's tons of them. But what we did realize is the manner in which you deploy them matters very much towards its success. And I think that's what Funded Forward brings, to the table. It allows people put their businesses, young CEOs, put their businesses through a filter that really helps appropriate, align, and sort of fortify it, ready for the big world.
Quite interesting. Talk to me about how the team, how you find most of these candidates.
Okay. So what we initially did in season 1 was try and find, the circles in which these tribe of people do exist. And when we talk about the type of people, we're looking at people who are very young, but yet conscious about impact investment. So what happens here is we're looking for young CEOs who are not just thoroughbred capitalists who want to make money, which we all do, but more so have interest in impacting on the environment, on the society, on the larger nation within which they exist. Now, this is a special tribe of business people, but amongst this young generation, they're beginning to emerge. So it's something which we identified, with pre-industrial China. No vision solves a country. It's the people that will solve it. And knowing the demographic of Nigeria, you'd understand that the young demographic is the future. So the idea of creating an initiative that sort of engenders, them, it enables them, and then it empowers them, to grow their business is a key thing at this point in time, whereby we sort of have a bit of a migration issue.
Right, a migration issue, and also a high interest rate environment. So you're trying to get most of these funds from the banks. you know
Indeed.
what to expect,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, looking at, you're going through the process, from season one, your idea and all of that, you meet all those business leaders, you come out, you win the prize. What's post-season like?
Yeah. So one good thing about the initiative is when it was being put together, with the teams at Channels, a key mandate was to make sure that it does have an off-air life, meaning that the program itself is the one, we get to see, we all sort of get entertained by, but more importantly, when we're off-air, they've built in a support mechanism through all the strategic partners to allow every entrant to be able to have access to mentorship, to access to programs that are local, international, and also to be able to sort of use some of their infrastructure to drive their business. And this came from organizations like the CC Hub, Alethea Capital, and Leap Africa, who've all been fantastic partners so far in growing this initiative. So it is more what happens after than what happens actually before. If you get where I'm coming from.
All right, let's look at social investing now.
Yes.
What's the future of that in Africa?
Well, it's something we have to grow because everybody would kind of look up, to the center in Abuja, as far as Nigeria goes, for solutions. But the real solutions are actually the ones which we ourselves deploy. And if every enterprise, if every business found one or two little things that they could use to sort of improve the environment, improve the lives of people, improve the economy, you'd find out that what government will have to do is create enabling policies to help sort of grow that impact. It's not necessarily going to come all the way from the center as we found in other countries. It's actually going to come from within. And I think it starts with all of us. So this new young tribe of enterprise that we're trying to build, we believe it will have a multiplier effect on many other young people who are going into business. But I think the most thing is it's great to make money, but it's even greater to impact with the money you make.
Right. And this week, International Men's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Happy International Men's Day. How important is gender balance?
Okay. In a country like Nigeria or in Africa predominantly, I think over the past 10 years, what's been evident is there's been this shift, to make sure that there's sort of, a balanced equilibrium in terms of, gender in the corporate world, in business, in sports. But I think what's interesting about what we're seeing is that we probably have, and we're not talking about statistics because I can't pull that right off my head, but we have had quite a positive impact when you actually see this gender balance in the workplace, when you see it in business, when you see it even in sports, you begin to realize that both genders, not to take on one, do bring a lot to the table. And it's important that we encourage it from the very start with young people so that it's something which they grow with, in their ways of life.
Right. I'm talking about the current season at this point. The prize. Talk to me about the prize and who we're seeing as a favorite to win this season.
I mean, we try and reiterate the fact that, there's always got to be a prize because something's got to motivate people. But I think the most important thing is what do we learn in the process. But that said, not to rub them off the glory, the grand prize for this year is a 30 million grant, a 15 million naira grant, and a 5 million naira grant, for the respective businesses that make the top finalist. We kind of do think it's more about what you learn, but the money is good, because if your business is successful, it will make way much more money.
And, looking at the current ideas we're seeing, with this season,
yeah,
how much of your interest is picked at this point?
Well, this is the funny thing about young people. They don't think like the generation before them. They're very brash. They're radical.
About Gen Zs? Or?
Well, even if we sort of look at the millenniums down,
right,
they're very sort of, out of the box. And what happened is some of the ideas that came to us, we couldn't even imagine them. I mean, there's a lady who's thinking about how to convert carbon emission into this positive thing, talking about people who are using these big generators, trying to explain that the waste in that generator actually can be turned into wealth. And I'm like, how's that possible? you begin to realize that these are interesting people, and many of those ideas are shortlisted for the season 2. In terms of favorites, I'm sure we will all have one, but I'll encourage us more to watch and find. You know, who appeals to us.
We'll definitely be watching. Definitely. Thank you so much, Neil. Oyinekon is a serious producer, funded forward season 2, and definitely look out for my pitch. I'm going to give you my pitch right after this show, so we'll just call it a day.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Alrighty then. So the trading session, that's the TGI trading session, that's on right now at 1 p.m. I'll give you an update on how it's playing out on most of the global markets we track. That's it from me on Business Morning. I'm Ladi Williams. I hand things over now to the Sunrise Daily team.